So, welcome. Now, what we're doing is, let me close up. We're doing today is, as you can see, I'm on my myth, but we're going to be doing a review on every single world. So, based on how much I enjoy it, how much, what you get out of it, and what kind of gear, how much you're going to enjoy it, difficulty, just basically all around, stuff that you're going to experience through the world, and kind of just in general what you can experience and stuff like that. So let me just now if we pull this down here, okay, so what I kind of want to put, so we're gonna start off with, we're kind of go in order. So where is it? Wizard City. So with the level you get Wizard City at, I'm gonna turn this music down. Kind of the level you get Wizard City at, it's the beginning of the game, but it is a good world, right? Over time though, it kind of just became like an area for side quests. So I want to put it in B tier. Now, the reason why it's in B tier is mainly for the fact, let me go on my fire. Or on my storm even better. But look, we're gonna go walk around. I'm gonna show you guys some things that just why it would be B tier. You got Crab Alley, right? This is also where you learn all of your spells originally until you go to the Arcanum. You got Crab Alley, side quest. You got Waterworks, side quest. You got what is it called? All the Catacombs, side quest. You got Colossus Boulevard. It's just majority side quest. If we're looking at this right now, look, some of these things side quest. What else is a side? That's a side quest. Side quest. Where else is a side quest? You're getting the point. Majority of it is a side quest, and it definitely makes it a lot less enjoyable. So that's the reason why I'm gonna put this right here. That'd be solid B tier. Next, Krokotopia, easily C tier. So one thing about Krokotopia, let's go there right now, is kind of the amount you're walking. Right, you're walking majority. For the level you're in it as well, it's definitely a little bit difficult unless you do all the side quests in Wizard City, which majority of people will not be doing. And also, the graphics aren't even updated. Like every other world, this is still the same graphics from since it released, I'm pretty sure. And, kind of just will ruin the purpose of the world you're kind of playing in, and you're kind of experienced through it. My personal opinion, I did not enjoy this world one bit, especially with Hall of Champions, stuff like that, and the final fight was really lackluster. You could solo it so easily. Nothing really major here in this world. It's just kind of very lackluster, and it definitely needs a few updates with the quest and all that. So next world we're gonna go on to is gonna be Grizzleheim. So what I'm going to do for Grizzleheim, as I'm going to put it in a solid. So Grizzleheim is really enjoyable, right? I actually enjoy Grizzleheim a lot. But the only issue I have with it is the difficulty and the XP. So I'm putting Grizzleheim in S tier though, just because of Wintertusk, and it's not on this tier list. So let's go Grizzleheim, Wintertusk right now. Grizzleheim and Wintertusk, okay. So the reason why it's going to be in C tier or in S tier is mainly because of Grizzleheim or Wintertusk. Wintertusk was awesome. Wintertusk is not long, neither is Grizzleheim, but the only reason it's going to probably be towards the end of S tier, and the only reason I would put it is because the lackluster XP, unless for Northgard part and Ravenscar. Why is, okay, let's go to Ravenscar. And I'm pretty sure in Ravenscar you got 9 boss fights, which are it's complete bullshit, right? You're not gonna do 9 boss fights, and it takes forever to do. I was streaming it. You can find it on my Twitch, link in the description. But you either look. Okay, let's look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 6 right here in general, and then 1, 2, 3, 9. Yeah, 9 boss fights. What the fuck? Now you don't even get any good gear. You do. I'm pretty sure need to get some spells from here, right? I don't know which ones exactly. I would have to look, but I know you get Bad Juju and Shatter from here. Everything else, I'm kind of like more left on blank. I'm not 100% sure, but like overall, it's just I really enjoyed because it was like more of a faster pace. Like now, our world's now a little bit more stuff to do in a faster time, and the only issue is that we don't get XP and Ravenscar, and it's still one of the best worlds, still easily one of the best, if not the best world. And especially some people think, like, especially Wintertusk, just amazing. And look at, like, this looks amazing, too. Like, look at this. Alright, so, next world we're going on to is going to be Marleybone. Now, Marleybone, I absolutely hate it. I'm putting it in E tier. I fucking hate Marleybone. I absolutely hated I still hate Marleybone to this day. Marleybone is the only issue I have with Marleybone. Actually, only. There are many. There's a reason why it's not going in the worst, because I'm saving the worst for the absolute worst world. So, Marleybone, look at this. I like the kind of theme around it, right? But it just looks horrible. Horrible theme, right? You don't really... Like, look, this is just complicated. Complicated streets is one of them. For the level you're in, things are definitely going to be harder for some schools, especially since... Unless you're Storm, like I am right now, it's going to be a little bit harder because you don't get your, I'll put on my mount, but you don't get your stuff really easily. Like, because Storm gets it Tempest, so they have an AoE already. And unless you have, like, if you're at Death and you actually grinded for, what is it called? Ship of Fools, and you, like, brought it over to your Death, the reagents, it's going to be a little bit easier. But even then, it's still going to be a little bit hard. Because some schools don't get their blade, and by some I mean Ice. Ice doesn't get their blade. What else doesn't happen? Some schools won't be able to one-shot some of the bosses, even with a monstrous, depending on your gear, right? The streets, also, super easy to get pulled. It's way too many dungeons. For a one world, way too many fucking dungeons. You are wasting your fucking time doing all these stupid Look at the streets. You can get pulled so easily. I'm just gonna walk this way, and you can get pulled so easily because of like some of these things, like obstructing your way of walking and all this kind of stupid shit. It's a horrible world. Now, is there anything good? Not really, but the only reason why is kind of like the story. Kind of the storyline is pretty cool, that you're chasing down a mass criminal. You know, that's literally the only reason I would give it like a higher tier, but. That was it. That's like the only reason. That is the only reason I would give it a higher tier. Now, could I see this world getting updates? 100% yes. I think we need more. We need another main dungeon here, or even in Krokotopia, some of the earlier worlds that give great gear. Maybe like a 160 gear side dungeon, stuff like that. But overall, this world hasn't seen much love, and I know some people really love it. I am the exact opposite. But that's what it is. Now, moving on to Mushu. What would I do with Mushu? Now, Mushu, it's kind of in that weird spot where it's one of those worlds where it's a lot of walking. And it's also one of those worlds where it has, like, a great scenery and the storyline is kind of cool. But I'm putting it right in front of Wiz City. So, why do I do that? Well, it kind of has the same thing as Wiz City. It kind of hasn't been it's been updated, but it's not like super side quest. Just too much walking, right? Way too much walking. The teleporters like aren't even that good. Kind of the same thing as Marleybone. Kinda like you can get pulled pretty easily sometimes. Though I love the scenery. I absolutely love this kind of style, right? With the trees and all that. The storyline is personally really good. It's trying to save lift up the curses and all that. And you know, I enjoy that. One thing I don't like though is look, this is another one where they have a few dungeons, and that can be a little bit annoying. Also, some of the bosses here, now that you get your AoEs, most schools got their AoEs except Death and Life. It becomes a lot easier. So unless Death and Life, you guys have Ratspin or Ship of Fools, this world will personally be a little bit easier for you. Probably one of the easier worlds, but me personally, I think it's just a little bit of pain in the ass. Don't take it from me. That's my opinion. This whole thing, by the way, is my opinion. But moving on, is gonna be Dragonspire. Now, here's the thing with Dragonspire. Dragonspire is literally the last world of Arc 1. So, was it any good for that? Yes, it was. Definitely was good. But I personally hated also, this is another world where it's just a shit ton of walking, right? You're walking everywhere, here, there, like up, down, like it's just so much walking. The teleporters, do they help? Yes. But that's besides the point, right? You're still walking a lot. And not to mention, they have some pretty annoying quests and some annoying fights. Though it has been changed, some of them have been changed. Like I was doing it, and I didn't have to kill all of the things. But me personally, I'm also gonna put this one in high C tier. If I don't just think it deserves, I think there's a few things that would make it deserve the B tier spot, right? But I don't know if it reached it. I don't know if it 100% like reaches it. Why is it in C tier? Well, first off, you don't really level up much. This is now where Ice's point where they get their fucking blade. Absolutely ridiculous. Some people may even get what is it called? May even get their 8-pip or 7-pip AoE. That's just very like you don't even know if you're gonna get it, right? But what it is, it's also that look at this fucking scenery too. It's horrible, dark and gloomy. Definitely, I know some worlds need this, but I think they did it the wrong way with also the color scheme. The storyline is pretty good. This is about the point where you have to build yourself up as a student of Dragonspire so you can actually go to the Grand Spire and fight Mali. That's pretty cool. That's actually one of probably the coolest things about this world. Definitely a reason why it's not lower. And what doesn't make it up to make it a B tier world is probably the amount of quests you got here. This is definitely a little bit longer world to quest, a little bit harder world to quest. So for the level you're in, most schools once again most people will probably not have their AoEs yet, right? Especially their 7-pip. So you got to blade stack a little bit more. You have Zeus gear here and also in Mushu, but it helps, but it doesn't help a lot because your Thames aren't 100% and that. But what also is putting it up is the gear from the final fight. Now, I've farmed it for a little bit. I did, I think, 3 or 4 runs. I didn't get any of it. But the gear is actually very, very good for the level you're at. You get some Pierce, too. But it's just, if you're going for the min-max, then you go for that kind of gear. So, that would be my reason on why I put it. Yeah, Dragonspire is a lot of running. Dragonspire is way too much running. Now, the next world I'm going to go do is Wisteria. Now, Wisteria, personally, it's going to be a D tier world. D tier. This world could have had the potential to be great. Spiral Cup, great story. That's the only thing it has going for it, though. It was way too short. Definitely, that's one thing. It's nice to have short worlds, but especially when they're way too short, no. You come here for one side quest, and that's Tower of the Elephant, so you can get in a Thame. And even for some schools, the Thame isn't as good as, as you were kind of hoping it would be. Like, the Thame, it's like, for Myth, it just has 1 extra damage and a little bit of extra health. Now, if you're min-maxing, you definitely need that Thame, right? But you don't necessarily need it. There's also literally only 2 areas, or 3. Tournament Hall, Pegasus Palace, and Tanglewood Way. That's it. What else are you going to do here? Nothing. Literally, that's it. You just do the Spiral Cup, and you kind of figure out why the life is kind of getting corrupted. Yeah, and the Tower of Hierophant. Yeah, I hated the story though. The story was the only thing I loved. The scenery is very bland, kind of like a copy of Wiz City, and I think they overall could have done better. And I think it does need some updates. What would I do? I personally don't know because I think it's kind of just lost. It had the potential. Now, next world we're going to go to is Celestia. Now, this is another world where I absolutely hated questing through parts of it. But after my third time questing through it, which we finished yesterday, you can if you want to watch that stream all over for the 12 hours, which I recommend you don't, it was not that bad. It personally was not that bad. Now, where would I put it? I'd put this right behind Mushu. I don't mind this world. I genuinely didn't mind this world. It could have been worse. Definitely could have been worse, right? But it could be better. Now, what do I mean by this? The storyline was kind of garbage. The storyline was pretty garbage. And one thing after another, you just doesn't make sense to Arc 2. Arc 2's worlds were never, just in general, aren't even that good. Right? There's some worlds that are really good and all that, but in general, it is not that good. I think they definitely could have put like more effort into this world, especially this one. But like at this point, it's kind of just a lost cause. I think what it is now is just fine. The only thing I would change is kind of the storyline. I have to change my deck too. But once again, I don't know. The scenery is also definitely in some places very, very nice. I really liked actually like walking around and actually looking at things, especially for the floating land. Like this one is pretty nice. Like I quite enjoyed questing through here a few times, and now also in Celestia you start learning monstrous and tough and all those spells that you actually need. So that also puts it up. Now what's bringing it down? The storyline and kind of how some areas required a lot of walking, especially the Crustacean Empire. And the last fight, if you want to... Yeah, the underwater is also really cool, but, you know... Overall, this is definitely a B-tier world, and I think that it definitely can use some improvements. I think, personally, though, if they were to improve it, I think this world, if they were to try to improve it, it could probably worsen it. Now, I think they should leave it as it is from where it stands right now, but that's just me, once again. Next world, we have Zafaria. So, Zafaria is actually one of the best worlds, in my opinion. Zafaria is a solid A-tier world. So, why do I put Zafaria at A-tier? Well, Zafaria, overall, great, kind of a different scenery than most worlds. You don't get this, other than Azteca, you kind of get a similar scenery, but even still, you don't really get the same scenery, right? It's unique. It has its own personality to it. And this is also the second world of Arc 2, so it kind of is starting to build up some plot on kind of starting to meet Morganth and what her goals are, you know, in Mirror Lake. Now, there were definitely annoying parts, but it's not the annoying parts, like, I think it was just Drum Jungle. They're not, like, overextended, you know? They don't last very long. It's just for a short period of time. Now, those parts, do they get annoying? Are they very annoying? Yes, easily. I think Drum Jungle is one of the worst parts of this world, or if not in any world. That's why it's not an S tier. The storyline was definitely unique from another one, trying to find your actual wizard friends from Wizard City until you realized it's kind of Morganth's doing, right? In my experience. Yeah. And this is kind of also where you get Waterworks gear, Zigzag gear, your level 56 crafted, because it's kind of where you start to get all those good gears, and it starts to get a lot easier questing up. But, you know, at the same time, it does not, you know, kind of make the world, doesn't make it too hard or too easy. It's kind of in that happy medium, you know? It's not, like, super hard, but it's not super easy. You're not going to have, like, the best Like, you're not going to be one-shotting every boss. Some bosses you're going to have to blade stack, or feint stack. So you got to be actually mindful of the things you're doing and how it's going to probably affect you. So that's my opinion on that's my opinion on this world. A lot of people will disagree with me, but I think this world is definitely one of the best. Avalon. Need I say more? Now, Avalon is easily a S tier world, if not one of the best. Why do I say this? Okay, the scenery. Look at this. Now, this is amazing, right? You walk around and like you feel like you're a knight again, right? Especially since this game is targeted to a younger audience, and it's kind of more of a just it makes you feel like you're a kid again, even if you're an adult or if you're an older person, like a teenager. This is kind of what it's supposed to do. It makes you kind of feel like a kid again, And what the storyline behind it is, you become a knight to save the king and grab the Sword of Kings, right? And once you do that, you kind of save the king and all that stuff from his disease, blah, blah, blah. And actually doing that stuff was really fun, The only issue that this world has is a little bit it's a little bit lengthy, and that's it. And you could probably get through, since you have waterworks gear and stuff now. Fights are going to be a little bit harder. Bosses have a lot more health. That's the only thing, and it's at a good difficulty, especially with the level you're at. And I think this world is probably one of the better worlds, just because you're at a good difficulty. Everything's kind of perfect and set in stone. A good length. It's a little bit lengthy, but it could be longer. All this stuff, and it's really in a good spot. So that's why it's S tier. Now, there's a worst spot in this world, right? And I think we, from the very beginning, knew where the spot was going. Azteca. Worst of the worst. One of the worst worlds. You hate fucking questing through it. I hated every minute. I took a break both times questing through it. On my fire and on my storm. Now, what is wrong with this world exactly? Well, the storyline is horrible, right? You're trying to get to save the people from extinction, right? And you don't even do that. You fail. Malistaire is reborn. You have to fight him again. Those final fights on the whatever, I forgot what it was called. The Zabala is just horrible. You can't. It's not another easy solo experience. Definitely not. And you're still stuck with waterworks gear. And now that the bosses are a lot harder, you're required on your to learn more spells to actually boost your experience. Now, you do learn some spells from here. You learn Sharpen and Potent, and you also learn your school's Astral spell. But that still doesn't kind of fix it, like, where it's just a boring world. Too many defeat and collect quests, a lot of repetition, and it's just definitely not an original world. You don't see kind of like all that stuff. Now, this world is just genuinely, like, you don't enjoy it. You don't enjoy it one bit at all. You're just kind of stuck in a stalemate. You get very bored doing this world. Now, can it be improved? Because of where this is like almost one of the last worlds of Arc 2, not so much. I think it's just going to be a shitty world. It's going to stay a shitty world. Now we got Chrysalis. Chrysalis, I never enjoyed it, right? But it's the last world, so it definitely deserves a higher spot. So I'm going to put it kind of like right behind Krokotopia. Now, questing through Chrysalis is another super long world. It is the longest world in the game. If you were trying to speedrun the game, it takes about minimum 18 hours, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. Is it aesthetically pleasing? No. Definitely a little bit more difficult than other worlds. Especially part 1. In part 1, you don't have your Darkmoor gear, and you don't even get it until towards probably end of the arc. or towards the end of the world, right? So you don't even have Darkmoor gear. It's kind of very hard, and you're not really. The only thing that it makes it easier is the companion that gives you 50 attack, 50 damage, and a little bit of pierce, right? That's it. That is absolutely it. You're not. You get your fourth potion here. Now the last boss fight was lackluster, very very easy, and the galleries were a lot harder than it, right? The galleries are like from when I was doing it on my storm, I was like, okay, I can probably solo it, and I forgot that yeah, they're pretty hard, and it definitely kind of just puts you in a stalemate once again where you just don't want to play. So that's why I put it at there. Polaris definitely, there's definitely going to be bias in this one, but Polaris is a S tier world, best world in the game. First off, the storyline, pretty dope, right? You're starting a rebellion and you actually win the rebellion, overthrow the government. Rasputin, it was a hard fight, right? You actually have to try, you need to team up, you need to communicate, right? All that stuff in a fight, you actually matters, right? And that's like, it makes the world actually interesting. It is not way too long. There's a good amount of areas, but they all have their own length. So it's definitely a lot easier to quest. And the bosses, your gear, you have better gear. So it gets a little bit easier. And it's definitely not too hard as well. So it's kind of in that happy medium. Overall, I put this S tier world. It's also aesthetically pleasing, must I add. Definitely a different kind of scenery toward any other world, right? No other cold kind of themed world. The characters were lovable and enjoyable characters. Overall, it's probably one of the best, if not the best world. In my opinion. I think, in my opinion, it is the best world. Now, that's for me. Arcanum, it's just bland, there's really no storyline in it. So, I'm putting this one just below Marleybone. It's bland. You're not doing anything here. You just come here, learn some spells, start quests. That's it. Make check-ins. Literally, that's it. You start your worlds here. And yeah, that's personally just it. Now, you can't change it. That's just what it is built for. So now we got to go on to Mirage. Mirage, me personally. Now this is me. This is just me. This is gonna go right in actually Mirage is going to the end of B tier. Mirage was kind of lengthy, a little bit more difficult. Bosses started cheating, and the storyline was kind of bland. I don't remember it. I didn't enjoy questing through it. A lot of fighting. This was definitely one of those areas where it's a lot more kind of fighting. Definitely more confusing stuff. A lot more dungeon sigils kind of fights. A lot more boss fights, One of those worlds. I think it definitely could be improved. Though, do I know? No. I don't know what they can improve on. I think it's okay where it is now. But personally, I think this world could have been better. Now, what's after? Oh, Imperia. I actually genuinely enjoyed Imperia. Very nice finish to the arc. Imperia was very nice. I think it's just A tier. That's the only reason I wouldn't put it. It's just because it's lengthy. It's definitely a lengthy, and it's not a scenic world unless you get to part 2. Part 2 is where it kind of begins to look really, really good. Really, really good. Right? And like, this is just boring to look at. It's all dark and gloomy. It's just foresty. You get that from other worlds. I guess Tekka. Right? That's the only reason I would put the storyline. It's a great finish. You actually meet the grandfather Spider's kids. And he's like helpful, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And it definitely puts a twist on the kind of story. It's definitely not how you expect it to end. So, and it makes it a 2-part world. The boss fights were genuinely hard and rewarding. I wouldn't say Medulla, but like Storm Titan and the Paradox fight were genuinely rewarding. Now we're gonna have Aquila. Aquila is one of those side worlds. where it's kind of just okay. Now, I think it's also is gonna go in the D tier spot, just below. Now, I definitely enjoyed the Akaloa dungeons more than I did Marleybone. Had a twist. They were genuinely difficult, right? Not too difficult, but they were difficult. And I don't want to go to Akaloa. You're not gonna see much, right? I'm not gonna try to ruin people's experience. And overall, it was more of a, hey, this is just gonna be our side quest kind of thing. You get really good gear from here. Kind of that kind of world. Now, since Lemuria and Caramel aren't on that list, I'm gonna talk about Lemuria first. Lemuria, personally, it's also gonna be A tier world, just bottom A tier world. Why? Well, there's two reasons why it's not S tier. The first, well, let me explain the goods. It's a genuinely difficult world. Like, we need those. We actually get gear from a main quest line. And really good gear. Like, if I can show you, Mercy gear is absolutely amazing. We finally have Pierce gear. We get really good Pierce, too. Really good but we get really good damage, really good gear. Like, it's worth farming for or even worth crafting. What else do you get from here? Well, and that's kind of like, it's a genuinely difficult, it's not too lengthy, it's a good story, right? The only thing I don't like is how, they stole parts from other worlds, and I think that kind of just showed, like, that they were lazy. And it's even in the storyline, like, yeah, it's supposed to be parts of other worlds, because they were fucking lazy. So, me personally, I would definitely recommend a few changes. Will there be? Probably not. Now, Caramel. Caramel, for me, absolutely phenomenal. I'd put it right behind Polaris. I loved Caramel. Caramel is my second favorite world. And, I mean, it's very scenic. It's definitely one of those a little bit more difficult worlds, and especially since it's the start to the Ark world, definitely weren't expecting it to be this good, You don't get much gear from it, but you get some pretty nice Stitch gear. Stitch gear from here can be really good. For example, you can get the Wonder Bar. I know a lot of people who stitch with that. You can also get the wands. The wands are very, very, very popular. If I can show you some of them. Like, where are they? The wands. Oh, these. Very, 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 very popular. You see them quite often. And is there anything wrong with that? Personally, I think no. It's definitely a nice kind of change to see, like, different wands for different stitches, And that's kind of my stand on this world, and kind of Wizarding 101 in general. It's definitely nice that most of these worlds now, at least starting the latest worlds, they're actually understanding what makes a world good and what to implement. And I'm genuinely enjoying that kind of change. So, I'm hoping they actually keep up with it and kind of just show us, like, their actual world building capabilities, and how they're going to implement it, especially when it takes a whole ass year to build one world. I don't know what goes behind it, but I imagine it would be a little bit harder. But that's my standing on it, and I hope you guys definitely enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe, and as you can tell, this is for the YouTube stream. Peace out, and I hope you guys have a great day.